Welcome to The Burning of the Midnight Lamp, where we are dissecting music history, album by album, track by track. Then we have arrived at the fifth track on David Bowie's album The Next Day from 2013. Where Are We Now? Please like and subscribe if you want to hear other analyses from other songs on this album. We also have a podcast where we are discussing the full album in length, and on top of that, we have a Patreon account where we are discussing the full album and also are listening to the whole album, so you can join us there if you'd like to support us on Patreon. Links and descriptions are below. My name is Frode.
My name is Trond.
And my name's Chris.
Yes, so then we are at Where Are We Now? And we'll just get started and listen along.
Had to get the train from Potsdamer Platz. You never knew that I could do that, just walking the dead. Sitting in the jungle, on Nürnberger Straße. A man lost in time near Cardiff, just walking the dead. Where are we now? Where are we now? The moment you know, you know, you know. 20,000 people crossbars and Brooker. Fingers are crossed just in case. Walking the dead. Where are we now? Where are we now? The moment you know, you know, you know.
Such a beautiful chorus.
As long as there's sun, as long as there's sun,
And such a nice build-up.
as long as there's rain, as long as there's rain, as long as there's fire, as long as there's fire, as long as there's me, as long as there's you.
Wonderful.
As long as there's me, as long as there's you. Yeah, so that was. So then we have come to the fifth track on the next day. Where are we now?
The comeback song.
Comeback song, the first song we heard from Bowie in 10 years. And where are we now? He asks. I think that's it's a great thing, a great title for a comeback song.
Yeah, it was also a great comeback video, I think, that I really remembered watching over and over again when it came out. Kind of giving these subtle type of clues to what was coming next.
A lovely song, very melancholic, retrospective view, I think, on this earlier life, and yeah, a really good comeback. Was released on his 66th birthday, 8th of January 2013, as the lead single, the first single of the album. Dropped without any prior warning or fanfare on iTunes that day, and accompanied by a music video directed by Tony Ausler. And yeah, as we discussed before when we have talked about the whole album, it was came out of the blue basically.
And when you drop a new single, there's a new Bowie single out there, first in 10 years, and the title, Where Are We Now? That's exactly what we ask ourselves when we watch it. And we start the video and he's not there. He's projected on the doll for most part of the video.
Yeah, so he is there.
So he is there, but he's where is he? Well, he's waiting in the wings in the corridor. We see him in the end of the video, and then he pulls out of the doll projection pulls out. It's very. It's an entree. It's very carefully staged. I think that we're not seeing him at once. We're slowly. Then he appears in the end of the video.
There's also a fun link with this video being directed by the same guy, Tony Ausler, that had these type of projections on the 50th anniversary concert that he had. The one that was screened somewhere, I can't say if it's BBC or somewhere else, but you see these type of dolls in the front of the stage with the projections.
Yeah, Bowie has been collaborating with Tony Ausler before, not only as props on stage, but also in the video for Little Wonder, I think. That's the first time we saw this. And these projections, they're kind of his thing. You can see them many places in Norway. If you go to an art museum in the eastern Norway called Kistefoss, and you go to the bathroom, then you see one of these in each bathroom stall. It's a projected image. But Tony Ausler, he directed this video, but he followed Bowie's notes. So this is exactly as Bowie himself wanted it. And he his face is on one of the dolls, and the other doll is Tony Ausler's wife. And the surrounding is Tony Ausler's studio in New York.
And you already mentioned Norway once, and I think a few of us were a bit puzzled when we see the actual David Bowie in the video. Could you tell us a bit more about why?
I have no idea, but it's a T-shirt from the Song of Norway.
That's just a coincidence.
Yeah, you tell me why why it's there, but it might be something we don't know. But we were discussing Bowie's girlfriend around his 22 years of age, Hermione Fartingale, and I think she played in that movie.
Yeah, she actually ran away with the Norwegian dancer from that movie. Left Bowie for a Norwegian, I guess.
And these are the links that are so funny to talk about. It's very far out, but
It's very far. Yeah, well, as many things on this album, they're puzzling. They could be, of course, coincidences, as he often enjoyed, cut up lyrics and so on, but they could also be something deliberate. And when he's not doing interviews and not giving us any steering in the one or the other direction.
Well, he did give us 3 words.
He did.
Which are...
For this song, it is Mauer, the German word for the wall. Interface and flittings. Flittings is moving swiftly or lightly, and in a broader sense can be about changes or transitions.
Well, in the video you see a lot of places in Berlin, how they looked in 2013, and he sings.
I mean, the lyrics are littered with references to Berlin.
Yeah, he mentions them in the lyrics, and we see them in the video. And
Potsdamer Platz is taking it. Had to get the train from Potsdamer Platz. You never knew that I could do that. And at the time when Bowie was in Berlin, living in Berlin in the late 1970s, Potsdamer Platz would have been a place that was right in the middle of no man's land, or the death strip surrounding the Berlin Wall. So back then it was just a wasteland, and you couldn't take the train from there. So it almost sounds like the old Bowie is talking to the young Bowie, which seems like a recurring theme in some other songs here, and as we have discussed in previous videos as well for hours. So that's an interesting. Again you get that talking back to himself, or at least that's what it sounds like here.
Yeah, it sounds like a revisiting of places and memories in Berlin, and then, but where are we now?
He mentions also the jungle, which is was like a cafe. I'm not sure if it was a cafe or a nightclub, but it was like at least a place where he used to frequent on Nürnberger Straße, as he mentioned in the lyrics. And he also mentions KaDeWe,
shopping center,
Kaufhaus des Westens, very famous shopping center or shopping mall in Berlin. And then in the second verse, he's also mentioning 20,000 people crossing Böse Brücke, which is one of the border crossings between East and West Berlin. And it was, amongst other things, across that bridge, all those people were crossing back when the Berlin Wall fell in 1989. So many very, very concrete descriptions in this song.
Yeah, I think of all the tracks on this album, this is the one that stands out as a biography piece.
Even you admit that.
Even I admit it, even though I like to draw the fiction card. But I think this is a song of an old Bowie looking back at something from his years from living in Berlin in the late 70s, and he made of the so-called Berlin trilogy, which probably should be called something else, as only one of the album were recorded in Berlin. The famous song Heroes is on that album, and it also has a lyric that is it's about me and you. And for some reason, the ending of this song, as long as there's me, as long as there's you, and the grandeur of the music.
It's very uplifting. I mean, it
uplifting.
starts very melancholic and kind of
Yeah, I think it's
gray.
reminds me of,
I mean, it starts gray and rainy, and it ends with sunshine in a way.
I had the exact same thought. Even in the choruses, it feels like the sun is coming up. And then you go to the verse and the sun is disappearing again. And then comes this ending, which is very, it's almost like an explosion of sunlight. And a nice nerdy detail is if you play this on guitar and you put a capo on the 5th fret, you put the chords in there, you have this lingering, which I guess is what they did. You have these lingering notes going through the song, which gives this kind of, I don't know, this floating, twinkling feeling to the song.
And also there's a lot of echo and reverb, so it sounds empty, I would say, in the beginning.
Yeah, it has a lot of
like
space.
A single voice in an empty room or an empty city. Maybe.
And I also think the rhythm in here is really genius because it gives so much space in the beginning of the song. And there's barely any beat, and it's offbeat again. And then in the end, it just builds up. And it's almost the saddest thing that this was never gotten to be performed live, because I could just imagine this being a superb live song.
It's again a song that fades out. I mean, I'm okay with it here. We've discussed on the first 2 tracks that the fade out come a bit early. Still would have loved to hear more of the ending, of course, but yeah.
Yes, if there is a version out there, Tony Visconti, you're listening to this, just release it,
Please.
But it's a slower fade, so I think it feels better.
Yeah.
But there's something about his vocals. In the beginning, he sounds more old or frail, or when we first heard it, it was not the triumphant return of Bowie in the beginning. Like, is this how he sounds now? Even though it's not bad singing at all, it's like he did some songs on Heathen and Reality which were in that.
Absolutely, the loneliest guy.
The loneliest guy exactly. He sounds like the loneliest guy here. But when the beat comes and the ending comes, then the vocals change as well. But still, he's not over singing it. He's not. There's no musical singing here. He's full of emotion and holds back, I think, because it could have been tipping over into something too grandiose, because the music is so powerful and the lyrics and all the build-up, but he keeps it exactly the right balance. Not a show tune, it's a very emotional Berlin song.
I mean, it could have been. I mean, obviously, this was chosen, and it's a great choice, the best choice as the comeback single from this album. But he also starts the first track on the album by singing in the chorus, "Here I am, not quite dead," which also that one is much more triumphant, or jumping back in and say, "Hello, here I am." It's a very different atmosphere and.
But there's also this mystery in the song. If he had chosen The Next Day as the opening single, or other tracks on this album, I think this track has more mystery to it. And of course, that's what we are introduced to her. Here is the mystery Bowie that doesn't do any interviews, doesn't communicate at all with the media. And he just stands in the hallway outside of his video and just pops by in the end with a Song of Norway t-shirt and keeps us guessing.
And reminiscing about his peak years in a way.
Yes, he is there, but he's not there just as the album cover, where he is there and he's obscured with his white note, and that is, of course, also the Heroes album that he made in Berlin. So it's it's very well thought out, this comeback.
There are some lines in the chorus. The moment you know, you know, you know, which can be a simple repetition of the words you know, but a rather interesting interpretation of that on Genius. Can't remember who wrote it, but that person wrote that. Interpreted it as the moment a person really understands something is the same moment they know that they have learned something new. They know that they know. So the line is essentially an easier way of saying this. The moment you know that you know. And he ended it with Bowie is a genius. May he rest in peace.
We can only agree to that.
Yeah. I like the interpretation as well. Great song, great uplifting, and there. The single was released, and it did actually quite well. It reached number 6 on the UK singles chart, and it became Bowie's biggest hit since 1986. And it actually marked Bowie having a top 10 hit in the UK in 5 different decades, which is quite impressive.
It is, yeah. I'm a little bit surprised that this was the first single that made it that far since 1986, considering all the good material he had released.
But in the 90s he wasn't that mainstream, maybe.
Jump, they say.
Yeah, it did quite well, I think, but still, I can see why that wasn't that big of a hit in the 90s.
But his next album, Bud of Suburbia, I think it only got 1 review.
Yeah.
So it sank without a trace, and the Outside album was scrapped by the record company, and he had to go back and do it again. So there was a time when people didn't think that Bowie had any commercial appeal anymore. So that has changed.
After 10 years, he certainly deserved it. And the song itself, it received widespread acclaim from critics. It was praised for its sound, reflective lyrics, and of course it was a welcomed return after a decade-long break. In 2021, it was actually ranked as the 19th best Bowie song out of 20 songs.
Not bad. Well, it's one that I never get tired of listening to.
No, me neither.
Great song. And by that, we'll thank everyone who was watching us. And remember to like and subscribe if you want to see us discuss the other songs on this album. And by that, it's time to say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Happy thoughts.